Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, my name is Sheva. I just wanted to know how can I like invite people to your events? What type of services you give, like with children? If people are looking for a workshop to do in SPAT, what role does the kid have in this process?
Well, I do a couple different things. There's, if they want to do a hands-on workshop, which it sounds like what you're asking about. So I do a workshop where, the, kids, young kids from around the age of, um, or maybe three sometimes. To try, but basically, I make a piece, I make a glass piece, something nice like a, um, with a cover or a kitchen cup or glass pomegranate. I do the hard part of this out my company. And in the middle of making the piece, I do the technique, and each person can come up and try the technique, so each person keeps up and moves the glass. And then and it's really related to teachers. So there's a workshop that I do where you get hands on, you also get to see the actual development. It's kind of best to both worlds because they can see the higher level work and also get. Yeah. If you can control my number, I can send you, I have a written thing that I send to people on WhatsApp. I can send it to you, if you have WhatsApp, and you can shoot it to people, and then they can also get in touch with me, and my website is written on that also. Maybe I have to see, how much time I have, I don't have my calendar right here, but I do have. Good. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much. Bye. Bye.
Yeah. I was feeling like almost a bit tired. It wasn't enough. Yeah, it wasn't enough for my spirits.
Wow. I actually did. I'm good to go in. Yeah. Don't touch the art. You. Oh. I don't know what's over a lot. No, we're not making it. I don't think we're making it. Are we making it?
Watching.
Hi, we're making
Hi, everybody.
Oh, that is so cool.
Okay, so thanks for coming. Welcome. My name's Sheva Chaya, and I'm going to show you guys glass blowing today. This is my gallery. I do painting and glass blowing. So you see around the gallery all kinds of paintings, the Tree of Life, women's music ensemble, mother and child dancing, Noah's Ark. There's different paintings around. You see above your heads, pomegranates and the chandeliers. Those are handmade. I'm going to make a new piece today, so you can see the whole process of glass blowing. So I'm going to start so we have time to make a whole piece. I'll explain as I go. Okay?
You get to watch.
So, you could buy something if you want. Anyways,
We're making something.
you get to watch. Yeah. So, the raw materials are tubes. This is an open tube of glass. So the end is a handle and a blowpipe. Okay, so I'm going to blow through the open end there. There are also solid sticks of glass, different colors. It's a way of adding color to the piece. And then there's also broken glass. There's some shards here on the table. So I'm going to use a little bit of all of these forms of glass to make a piece. And you'll see a lot of different techniques in our short time together. So the first step is how to watch. How do I watch glass blowing? So when it's very bright, you see this flame, it's better to look at the hands, not directly in the flame. Then you can see what's happening. So you watch my hands on the sides of the flame. So this fire is very hot. It goes above 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The glass goes to about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Super hot. Where are my gloves? Why doesn't the glass break in this big hot flame? So glass is a material that if you heat it up slowly enough, instead of breaking, it'll melt. That's what we want to do. This flame that I have it in right now it's hot, but it's not hot enough to melt the glass. Even if I kept it in there all day long, I wouldn't be able to melt it. Now I'm adding an oxygen. The blue flame is a hotter flame. So the blue flame is actually going to melt the piece. Why aren't my fingers getting hot? It doesn't conduct heat, right? So where the fire is, like if you have a mug of tea or coffee around where the hot drink touches the cup, it gets hot, but the handle doesn't, right? So same idea here, where it's hot, where it's directly heating the piece, it's hot. Over here on the handle, it's not hot. You notice I'm explaining as I go. You just pay attention and you'll see. You'll notice that I'm spinning the glass, turning it around and around. I want to get the glass hot all the way around the tube. So I need to spin. Once it's actually hot, it changes to a liquid. It starts to flow like lava, like liquid honey. So if I stop moving, gravity is still going to pull down. So I need to keep the glass moving. Otherwise, it could collapse or even drip down. And I want to keep the glass up in the air for nice. So see, the glowing area is getting hot. So it's a liquid, it's flowing, it's moving, it's changeable. So I'm going to do a bunch of different changes to the glass. Where it's hot, that's glass. It has a little moment where it can move, and then it goes back to a solid. Still hot, but no longer moving. Back, so that's the next handle, just like I have it in my right hand. Now I'm going to use the fire also to cut the glass. Okay, so now I have a section in the next handle, but it's closed here on the end. I want to open the end. So I open the end by putting the glass in water. Don't put hot glass in water, it makes it break, but I did it on purpose in order to break open the end. Now just fire polish the end. A tiny bit of fire touching the tip end will make that part smooth so it's no longer broken. Now I'm going to show you a couple ways of adding color. So when the glass is hot, we already saw it's changeable. You can change the shape. It's also sticky, so obviously don't touch because it's like thousands of degrees. But where it's sticky, if I touch it to other pieces of glass, they will tack on, and then I can melt them in. So that becomes a way to add color, which some people like to say it looks like sparkles or sprinkles. It's dots of new color. So I want to share with you while I add the color and make the piece, a couple of things that I learned about glass that I think are extra interesting. I noticed when I came to Israel, I grew up Jewish, but I didn't grow up learning anything about our tradition in the Torah. I noticed the Torah talks about everything. And people told me, yes, it talks about everything you could ever imagine. So I said, great, where is glass glowing in the Torah? Nobody had any quick answers. And there was before the times of being able to look things up so quickly like now. You see the glowing area. It's super hot, so I don't want to touch it, but I'm touching it to little pieces of glass. You see those little shards. You can see on the screen, you can see here. Of glass are stuck to the piece. Okay. They're not really attached yet, totally. They're on the surface. I could knock them off, but I want them. So I'm going to put them back in the fire to melt them in. Okay. So then they'll become a new layer of glass. On the glass will be dots. It's a simple way of adding color. So the first source, when I asked around, because I didn't know how to look up sources myself, I didn't know Aleph Bet or what any of the sources were, even though I was already 20 years old and went to an Ivy League school. But I just asked around, where is glass glowing in the Torah? Where is glass even in the Torah? And the answer that I got, once I finally found some people who looked for me, were really amazing. They reminded me of what we're seeing, of exactly this. So you see those little pieces which a second ago were broken separate. Now it's smooth, they're all melted in. So the sources that they found reminded me of the techniques. For example, it says in the Navi, it says in the prophecy of Jeremiah and Yirmiyahu that we are like the material in the hands of the craftsman. Hebrew, it's right? We're the material. Since we're the material, when we see a material being made into something, being created, we can relate to the material. How are we like clay in the hands of the potter? How are we like wood in the hands of the carpenter? How are we like glass? What would you say? What is glass like? How would you describe glass? Fragile. Who here has broken a glass? Everybody. Right. What else? Clear, you said? It can be clear, yeah. I'm using now sticks to draw on the glass. Is another way of adding color. Okay, tell me more. What else can we say about glass? Okay, Yofi, when can you change glass? When it gets hot, exactly. So when you heat up glass, it becomes changeable, bendable. You can stick it together. You can make different shapes. You can't break it. You can change it. So on one hand, like we just said a moment ago, glass is such a fragile material, everybody breaks glass. And on the other hand, we're saying when it's hot, it's unbreakable. So it's both because of the fire, right? So here's where it starts to get really interesting. It says, that's just like us. In the deeper teachings, we are like the material in the hands of the craftsman. We also have these attributes of being both fragile and unbreakable with a fire in between. But our fire is actually a symbolic fire. It's not melting us, right? It's a symbol. So what's our fire? Our neshama. Someone said hope, I heard. I don't know if I heard hope exactly. It sounds nice. What else? Neshama, the Torah, doing good, thinking good, right? Being a good friend, giving. So I put lines on there, and then the bottom you see the little dots. It's clear? Yep. It's hard for me to do that and look back, and the fire is a little scary. Okay, I'm gonna do a little more color, and we're gonna move towards the blowing. So, but it's a good time for questions. If anybody has any other questions, now's a good time.
How do you make the glass itself?
I buy the glass, like I said in the beginning. So just like when I make a painting, I don't make paint, right? I don't go out like foraging different plants and making the colors. I buy them. So with the glass, that's what I showed you at the beginning. There's three main shapes that I buy the glass in: tubes, rods, and powder. And how people make glass is there's like a recipe. You know, there's like a matcon, like what goes in it. The base element of glass is called silica. So if you ever did pottery and you make pots, so clay and glass have the same base. They're both silica, but there's a big spectrum of what you can do with it. On the soft end of the spectrum, you can move it with your hand. It's not hot like clay. On the hard end of the spectrum, you see how I'm not touching it directly, like I'm holding it a little away. So what happens after you make a clay pot? What do you put it in the oven, and then how do you put color on it? You glaze it. What does glaze sound like? Glass, same word, basically, almost, right? Because it's like hard clay, right? And it needs to be, it's affected by the heat. You can't like directly, anyways. Okay, so. From the handle, that was at the end. We're gonna see that soon.
What are you trying to do?
We're gonna see. We're gonna make something.
When you have a big bigger somebody, they have a whole thing.
Yeah, there's different types of glass blowing. So this is torch work, and there's offhand glass work where it's like a team of people, it's not one person, with big pieces. So I do torch work, and it's a big torch, it's a big flame. Sometimes the torch work is just like beads and smaller things, and I can, as you see, you can do bigger sculptures and all kinds of things with the torch. That's all made with the torch. Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a bit of a plan. With painting, you guys have heard of like pour painting or like different things. You can splatter paint, you can pour paint and like spin it around or whatever, and it makes a paint. You can do just about anything with painting and with paint and pour it on a canvas, and it's a painting. You don't need to know really how to do anything. With glass blowing, you have to follow all kinds of rules, or it's not going to work. So you have to have in mind the steps you need to take, do them in the right order, and a little bit of a plan of what you're making so you take it in the right direction. Yeah. How do you what? Okay, so I put a line on there that I'm spinning around to make it look more. When I drew it on, it was straight, right? I did a few different colors, so it's like a band of colors. Spinning it around. And what did you ask? Sorry. Oh, I got into glass blowing. So when I went to college, I got into art. I started painting. These paintings around the walls are watercolor paintings. I made certificate in Israel. And I'm a curious person. I wanted to learn all kinds of art, try any materials I could find. Someone told me, you would love glass blowing. So I had some friends of friends who were glass blowers, and I asked if I could come and meet them. And I wanted to meet some people to them. who have a setup like this, and they let me try, and that sparked my curiosity. And then after that, I took a class and kept working on it, and here we are. Like anything, to learn how to do something, you have to try it a lot of times. You have to commit to learning it so you can get good enough to actually doing something with it. Okay, so I'm making a mezuzah cover, so I'm gonna draw a shin on here. What? How do I draw on it? I'm gonna open it. So there's the shin. I'll show you. See if you guys can see it there. Do you see it? The shin? Yeah, it's glowing. So watch. So this is the part. So I want to share with you one of the little thing. I realized after doing this many times, we have a glass in a very special life moment in our tradition, as we know, right? We break a glass. Everybody knows. When do we break a glass? Right at the chuppah on the right time with your true soulmate standing on the chuppah. It's joy, it's love, everything good, and boom, we break a glass. Why are we breaking things when we're happy? Remembering from Beit HaMikdash, remembering in this such happy moment, we can't just forget that the world still needs fixing. We break a glass, and we're hoping and praying also for the rebuilding, for the eternal temple, for this couple, all over breaking a glass. I realized I make and break glass all the time. So all of you who are curious how I'm taking the handle off, now it's happening. On purpose, popping the bubble to cut off the handle. So now it's open there. I have to clean up the end. Now it's open for me to make the top of the mezuzah. Huh?
What do you do with the best?
Oh, that's like trash, kind of, it's like leftover stuff. In theory, you could, but it's super thin, so it's not so practical to use. And on purpose, I made it really thin so I could break it. Like, it's hard to break. Sometimes glass is hard to break. I don't know if you have that experience trying to break glass, but when you try to break it, sometimes it's hard. It's strong. So you have to know how to do it just right. Those are the end. Yeah, blow pipes. Yes. Sis? It was, but now it's cooled off. But it was, yeah, it had to be very hot to blow a bubble, for sure. To cool off? So it depends on how thick it is. If it's thicker, it takes longer. And if it's thinner, it takes less. So a thinner piece of glass could take, maybe 30 seconds or a minute. A thicker piece of glass could take hours if it's really thick. But I don't usually work that thick, but sometimes things take, a while. So now I want to make the top a nice, even, a mezuzah cover. Case. I'm going to show you. So the wedding glass I was explaining before, and we'll finish up with that. I realized I can make a glass which is broken in the chuppah. We already saw when broken pieces of glass are heated up, what happens to them? They stick, and you can connect it to something new. So I started making this cup, which is broken in the chuppah. The pieces are saved and sent back to me. Just like you saw today, I put the broken pieces on the table. I heat up a new piece of glass, rolled in the broken pieces. Some of them stick, and from that I make a gift for the couple. Right, so in that case, the broken pieces are glued onto something. In this case, they're melted in and they're not broken anymore. So it's different. So it's a visual display. This is the entrance to the gallery where you can see the cup, the broken piece, and the gift. The gift has little spots on it, little dots. Same color as the original cup, which I usually do as blue because they're actually from the cup melted back into the piece. Okay, so now it's a good time for any last questions if somebody has. That's why I took off the other end. I try not to get burned. You have to be really, really careful. I would say I get burnt more in the kitchen than here. I think you can just like pull and take a cookie out or whatever. It's hot. It's more of a problem. Because here I know I can't touch it. Say it loud. God forbid, that could happen. That would be bad. Huh? I definitely would not try to do that. Even the tiniest little like tap of it, you know, like it burns, your hand's gonna pull away. Huh. Yeah. The fire in Celsius goes to about 2,500 and the glass goes to 1,200. So like, you know, the oven, when you bake cookies, it's like 10 times as hot as that. It's very hot. Super hot. So here's our normal of the cover. So I'll show you guys. Don't touch, it's still hot. The broken piece can have those little dots on the bottom, still glowing on the bottom. I draw a few lines with like a band color. There's the shift. Isn't that pretty nice? And we saw all the steps of changing it with the heat, the red.
How do you pose it in the end after?
So you have examples of the colors over here. I put a cork and I have backings made out of others on the back of rolls, so it's easy to put on. Those are broken pieces. I swap them around if you saw. We do on the shin. Put the shin there, the lines and the dots. What would be the fun? This is the color that I saw for part of the dishes. 450. There's some up here in the front and there in the back. There's a few left. So you guys see the shin here. It's kind of hard to get it to focus. Okay, any last questions or comments from anybody? Okay, I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know if you have a minute before the next group comes, if you want to look around. So now you could imagine, you see other pieces, how it was made. If you see dots, the broken pieces melted in. If you see lines, I pulled thin and drew on the lines, making the shape with the heat and the movement. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great summer. Thank you. That's my concept. So this is a smaller version of the one in H, and it went to the Asia Torah in Mexico. It's a Nerta made. So that's the one I made. Not the big one. Okay. Yeah. You guys can take cards if you want. You can come back with your family. They do workshops also where you can try hands-on if you're interested.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.